Hi, my name's Leah, and I am a life and relationship and career transition coach. And it's 2026. And one of the most common questions that I get, whether it's from a friend or from a client, is why do I keep getting stuck in the same emotional patterns year after year? And I know I need to change, but I keep getting stuck in the cycle. It's so common, especially at the start of a new year when, we're wanting a fresh start, but these old fears and doubts and, inner obstacles keep getting in the way. So I really wanted to address this concept of why we keep getting stuck in these and what we can do to finally shift them, especially going into 2026 and, hopefully starting this chapter of life or starting this new book of life with a lot more clarity and direction and discernment. One of the phrases I love to use, and one that I have recently had to implement into my own life much, much more, is catch the pattern and then choose the shift. So catch the pattern, choose the shift. Maybe you want to write that down somewhere, but I love this because it's essentially how I coach people, how you can coach yourself, is you pay attention to what's the cycle here? What's the pattern that I keep getting into? Have I heard myself say this before? I'm afraid of being abandoned, or I never get supported, or no one ever, cares about me. Like, what's the phrase that you have found yourself continuing to say over and over, relationship after relationship, year after year? And once you can catch that pattern in yourself, while you're in the trigger, while you're in the moment, and you're finding a challenge arise, if you can catch yourself and name the pattern, then you can be more in choice. You can be more empowered. You can be more in the driver's seat, in, self-authorship of your life, rather than things just happening to you over and over again cyclically. Naming that cycle. What is that cycle? What is that pattern for you? Catch the pattern, choose the shift. So we keep repeating old cycles because they're familiar, because it's like a well-trodden path. Once something happens to us once, it's much easier for us to see how it could happen again, right? We've been conditioned through our experience to be a bit more wary of that, or to pay more attention to that. And we, even though we don't want to, find ourselves in these patterns over and over again because the familiarity somehow is easier. Even if it's an outcome that we don't want, it's something that we don't like happening. The familiarity of it still feels more in line with our nervous system because that's just how humans work. We're geared towards familiarity, not necessarily peace. So if you want peace in your life and you've always had chaos, or you want peace in your life and you always had struggle and challenge, you're going to have to do some rewiring of your nervous system in order to find that, because your body will always be drawn to what is familiar, as opposed to logically what we want to be feeling and what is more aligned with our emotions. So peace starts when you catch the pattern, and then the thoughts and the triggers and the fears, that moment of awareness is that powerful moment that you can claim and begin to shift your reality, shift your choices. Catch the pattern, choose the shift. That's the practice. It's not something that you just do and it's done for the rest of your life. It's a practice. It's an everyday choice that you have to make consciously. Catch the pattern, choose the shift. I'm going to keep repeating that because repetition really, really helps with familiarity. And we're building familiarity, right, in a new path. If you always want to end up, or if you always end up in the same kind of relationship, this is an example, or you always find yourself in a self-doubt spiral, pause and name what's happening. When you can name it, that automatically draws attention outside of your body. So you're able to look at it outside of you rather than have it be something that's happening to you downward. You can name it, you can see it, you can look at it, examine it. And then in that moment, you're able to say, oh, this is when I usually start to blank. Oh, this is when I usually lose it. This is when I usually shut down. This is the pattern. This is how that works. This is how that operates. And just naming it breaks the spell. It pushes it down to size. I always refer to this as like the boogeyman over your shoulder versus turning the lights on and actually seeing like it's just a stack of books, or, it's just a load of laundry in the corner. Then once you've turned the lights on, so to speak, you can choose one small shift. How can I do something different in this moment than what I normally do? than what the pattern normally draws me into? How can I make one small change in this moment? And maybe it's walking away, maybe it's pausing, maybe it's asking yourself, what would peace look like in this situation? Or something that I've asked myself recently is, if I am truly loving myself in this moment, what would I choose? And that can start to change things. It can start to change the path that you're on. And I really want to make clear that this year and every year is never about fixing yourself. It's always about remembering that you're already whole. It's about remembering that you're already worthy and accepting that and trusting that and loving yourself in all of that. So I want you to take a minute and think about, what is one pattern that you are trying to break in 2026 that you no longer want to carry with you for another year? What's the pattern? What's one small shift? And I'd love to read what you come up with in the comments. Thank you so much. Happy New Year.